Crypto is once again hot, and I'm getting a lot of questions of whether I'm holding, and my feed is full of people trying to contact me because they know I was involved very early. So I'm going to give my opinion on the state of crypto and one bit of investment advice. Bitcoin, I think, is not dead, but comatose, let's say. I think that it was co-opted and probably technically broken about a decade ago. When I say co-opted, what do I mean? I mean that it is controlled by major financial institutions, the same people that it was created to provide an alternative to. Since at least 2013, most of the major players, most of the developers, most of the mining power, certainly the social, the conferences, the influencers, everything has been driven by big money, and one way or another it comes back to the same players. Who has the big money? The big legacy rich people, basically. And you see this, we've seen this play out in many aspects. I was recently involved in a discussion about Bitcoin Cash. A friend of mine was saying that Roger Ver, who created Bitcoin Cash, did something wrong, and I don't see it that way. I think in retrospect he was absolutely right, and ultimately just came down to a popularity contest, literally with the miners voting, and if his proposals had won, and or if Bitcoin Cash had gained greater market value, then everyone would be calling that Bitcoin, and everyone would still be calling him Bitcoin Jesus, the hero, which to my mind, he will always be Bitcoin Jesus. Roger, I know you can't watch this, but I love you, man. So big money runs it. You know, they run the miners, they run the conferences, they pay the developers. That's what's going on politically, let's say. Technically, Bitcoin relies very heavily on some very old cryptography, specifically SHA-256. In 2011, SHA-256 was already quite weak, and I stopped having faith in Bitcoin technically a few years after that, as I saw quantum computing coming up, and really advances in cryptography or cryptographic relevant things. And we would say things back in the day like the blockchain is forever, and I see posts now of people, you know, showing all the halvings that are scheduled for Bitcoin and saying, oh, you know, there's 100 years more of halvings, you're still at the beginning. And it's just so naive. It's cult-like behavior, because there is no way that SHA-56 lasts even another decade if it's not already broken, which I think it is. I think it is broken. I think there are at least a dozen institutions in the world who could crack a SHA-256 based hash anytime they wanted. Certainly anyone running a large quantum computer. And cryptography is an arms race. Any technical person will tell you that you know, these standards are not meant to last forever. They're meant to be state of the art until something better comes along, which is typically estimated to be measured in 1 or 2 decades, 3 decades at the most. There's no 30-year-old cryptography that's still strong, that people have confidence in, professional cryptographers have confidence in. And that's the kind of timeline where we're running up against with Bitcoin. So I don't think that it's reasonable to talk about decades worth of future for Bitcoin in particular. There are other coins that are much stronger, newer cryptography that I would have a lot more technical confidence in. Unfortunately, crypto is no longer a meritocracy. It's no longer about freedom and cryptographic strength and innovation. It's about marketing and who gets attention from the big players, the political players that are handing out investments and running the conferences and so on. And so there's severe technical problems, and there's severe political and game theory problems, and it's also just very stressful following all this and seeing this beautiful freedom machine be co-opted bit by bit. You know, the early guys that got into this, we got into it for different reasons. Technical excitement about proof of work, technical excitement about peer-to-peer networks, about freedom, so on. And today it's just money, money, money. Which institution, which government's going to buy it now? And sure, institutions and governments are going to keep buying Bitcoin, but to what end? And what do they know? Maybe they're buying it because they've already broken it, and they're just making a planned demolition. You don't know, but it's naive and cult-like behavior to think that it's going to go on for decades. So let me go back. To what end? To what end would you buy Bitcoin? What is capitalism? What is capital? Capital is the means of production. Capitalism is the system where the people own the means of production. I'm a capitalist. But means of producing what? What do you need? What will make you happy? Money won't make you happy. You don't need money. You can't eat money. Whether it's Bitcoin, gold, dollars, euros, pesos, money is just a medium of exchange, and exchange in itself is inferior to owning the means of production. If you have solar panels and chickens, you don't need to go to the market and buy electricity or eggs or meat. And so I've really shifted my focus onto a more pure capitalism investment theory and strategy, which is to acquire and maintain the means of producing the things that I actually want and that actually make me happy. Rather than relying on markets. Markets break down. You know, in World War III, we're seeing it already. World War III's already started. Markets will break down, and you may not have access to all the same goods that you thought you wanted. Maybe the ships aren't moving. Maybe the canals are blocked, or the ports, or the roads. And your money's going to be worthless. But your trees and chickens and solar panels are gold. No one can take that away from you. So that's my investment advice. That's what I've followed. I'll be honest, I'm not even a millionaire. And I have no regrets whatsoever. I paid employees. I innovated. I enjoyed exploring creatively the technology, and I continue to. And I bought a farm and fruit trees and the means of production to make me happy. And that's what I recommend to all of you. Forget the FOMO. Forget the politics of who's getting in and who's not, or who's out. And just look at your life and say, what do I need? And what are the means of producing those things? And invest in that. Thanks for listening.